Have you ever uploaded a 3D model into Horizon Worlds and you might notice that like your model has like cast shadows on it, or perhaps you like pull out a static light and that static light is like only lighting up one polygon? Well, let's talk about how we can work with that. So here I am in Horizon Worlds, and I have my cube, my handy dandy cube that I uploaded, and I pulled out a static light. And if I slide my static light over and I hit this little vertex right here, what happens is that vertex is in light, and that light starts to disperse all along the polygon connected to it, in all ways. Now, as soon as we hit the next polygon, we see that the light doesn't disperse over into it because we're not hitting the vertex over here. So if I was to slide this light over to that vertex, we can now see I'm hitting both these polygons and we're now casting light into it. The same thing works with shadows. Right here, I duplicated the cube. I just threw it in a cube and into a group. And if I just turn it on, if I slide it over the vertex and I just turn off visibility just so we can see through it, we can now see that that vertex is in shadow and we're actually casting a shadow along the polygon as well. So knowing that, how do we solve this problem? Well, one thing we can do is we can take our 3D model and we can subdivide it, and that will allow the light to disperse more evenly over the polygons. That works, that's cool. However, that's adding more geo to our world. That's really not optimizing it. So what's a better way to solve this? Well, what we can do is we can upload our 3D models and they come in like this and we're like, oh no, this doesn't look right. How do we solve this problem? Well, the same thing's happening, right? If I was to zoom into this polygon right here, this polygon is behind the frame of the window, and that's why it's casting a shadow. So what we can do is we can select our model, and we can go into the properties, and we can turn off the reflect light and cast shadow. So this is like ambient occlusion, so I'm just going to turn it off. This is like ambient occlusion on the model. So if it's like casting shadows on itself, this will solve this problem. Now, the reason this isn't updating is because I need to duplicate it or I have to leave the world and come back in. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit duplicate. I'm going to slide it over. And if I wait like maybe like 30 seconds or so, it should like populate with the new lighting on it and look good. In the meantime, why don't I just give a shout out to Hardy West for the t-shirt. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Send me t-shirts. I will wear them. Okay, so as this is, oh, there we go. Perfect. As we're waiting, here we go. So this looks pretty good, but now it looks really flat because we don't have any lights on it. So that's what we have to solve next, is getting our lights and shadows. Excuse me, it doesn't have any shadows on it. So we got to solve that next. We got to get lights and shadows on our model. So what we can do now is we can bake our lights out. And that's going to throw us into Blender. And I'm trying not to make this a Blender tutorial. I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible. But we do need to bake shadows and lights into our model for it to show up in Horizon World. So I'm going to do this really quick as possible, I promise. Okay, so I'm in Blender. I'm going to just say, hey, let's take our image, or excuse me, let's take our model. And I'm just going to give it a material. And I'm going to give it an RGB material. I'm going to name my material test, which I already did. And then I want to add a light to my scene. So I just go to add light. And if I click this button right here, this will allow us to see our lights. And then with my light set up, all I did is just like change the angle, what looked good on my model. I think I jacked up the strength, and perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Simple Bake to bake out my lighting. It's fast, it's easy. There's other ways to bake out lighting. There's other software. Whatever you feel most comfortable with, that's what I recommend you stick with. So for me, I'm just going to go to my render tab. I'm going to change this to cycles, and I'm going to go down to Simple Bake. And in Simple Bake, I'm just going to go to my settings, nothing, bake. I need to select my model. I need to hit add, so it adds it to it right here. This is building, it added it. And I'm on cycles, like I said. I'll close that tab. I'll go to the next one, cycle bake. I have everything selected. Special bakes, I'm not doing any. Texture, choose your texture size. Export, you need to save your file, so just go File, Save. Once you save your project, you'll be able to choose a folder to export into, and I am clicking on Export Bakes. And then for UVs, I did my UVs in a different program you need UVs to basically bake out your shadows and lights. So take the time, make good UVs. And then other settings, I'm not doing anything special. And then once you have everything set up correctly, you can just hit bake. And once you hit bake, it's just gonna bake it out. Now this should be pretty quick because I turned the samples down. So perfect, it's done. I hit OK. Now what we want to do is we just want to test it out and make sure it looks good. So I'll click here again so I get my flat model. I'll go to my material. I'll just upload the texture. So I'll go to my base color. I'll go to image texture. I'll open. I'll choose the texture. I saved out and bake. Go. And there we go. It looks pretty good, right? So now that we have this, let's upload it into Horizon Worlds. So I'll go to my file, I'll go export FBX, selected object, just the mesh, and everything else is pretty good. And I'll hit export, which I already did, so I can override it. Doesn't really matter. Now I go back into Horizon Worlds, and I'll go to add, and I'll add 3D model. I don't need a pivot, so I'll turn the pivot off. And you can't see my files, but I'll just select them, my test file and my _br. I changed the texture file name to test_br because we're connected to the base and roughness map. If you want a tutorial on a step-by-step, I'm happy to provide that, but I think there's like a lot of good stuff out there already. So this is kind of just more of like showing the process of like the lighting and how to fix that stuff. But anyway, I'll just hit import. And I'm happy to make those tutorials too, by the way. But I was trying to keep this one short. I know we're already kind of getting along, but whatever. We're having fun. Okay, so it's uploading. I'll pull it out. I could just pull out the one I already had, but we don't want to cheat. Okay, so it's done. I'll pull it out. And there we go. Here's our model. So when we look at it, it's like, there we go. The texture's on it. We have shadows. Now we can see that those cast shadows are still applying to it, right? So we have to come up here. We have to turn off cast shadows. And what I could do is I can leave the world and I can come back in, or I could just duplicate my model, drag it out, and just wait for it to update. And again, if you send me a t-shirt, I will wear it on the show. Thanks very much. Okay, awesome. There we go. So now we have it. There we go. So we have our model. It looks pretty good. It's showing off everything we need to show off. And that's how you get nice looking, decent models with good lighting inside Horizon Worlds.